your kids will be the first generation of Americans.
I have a sister. She was born here.
Oh, she was born here.
Yeah, but yeah.
And your parents, they speak English. They work in the States for a long time ago. And you go to China regularly.
Yeah, I've been about 4 or 5 times.
How do you feel about it? I mean, how do you feel like recognized more with the American culture, the Chinese, a mix of them?
It's pretty much about, this is how I can describe it. It's about toilets, which is, in China, when you go to a public restroom, it's a squatting restroom. So,
what's squatting?
Like, you position yourself, like you crouch down and do that, you know? And I think it's like an assimilation of the Western culture, which is because of the Olympics, you know?
Yeah.
Like Beijing and all other cities started having sit-down johns. So it's transitioning towards, I guess, luxury. I mean, it is, you know, if you're really rich there, you're living in luxury, but it's pretty good. It's easier to see ambition in America. In China, I feel like you work for your livelihood, but you can advance in your life, but you can't become like an oil tycoon like you can here. Like the richest people in China, or that are allowed to be rich, are like the oil tycoons and people who own a lot of property. But my grandfather was a heart surgeon, and even that, he lives among most people. Like the housing he lives in is an apartment, but you buy an apartment kind of thing, just like New York. But like if you go to the Midwest, doctors have, you know, big houses with yards. Yeah. And it just has to do with space too, because there's so many people.
But the education is really good, no, in China?
It's just really hard. People don't sleep, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not like in colleges in America where it's like you don't sleep because you put off the work for so long. Yeah. And then you study all night for the test. But this is like they study every freaking day. Yeah. And it's crazy. Well, I think it just has to do with, I don't know, just comparing it with America. It has to do with like leisure, and the American youth has a lot of leisure. You know, you can go see movies, you hang out with friends, you like go to someone's basement and hang out, play video games. Yeah. But in China, those are it's very few. There's still arcades in China where people, like kids would spend all their money to play video games, but you just don't have that much time to do that. Yeah. So the point of a person is to work. Yeah. You know, is to get a job for yourself, because your parents hardly can help you, you know, live however you want to live. And so because there's not that much leisure time, there's really no point in having leisure time if there's not really much to do anyways. Yeah. I mean, until now, I mean, people do go to see movies in China, but it's not a huge thing, I don't think. It's not a huge thing for the youth in China. I mean, my understanding of the arts is mainly within film, and it seems like the bigger budget films that come out of China mainly point out, like, you know, their plot. It's like that's what's interesting and will get people watching the movies. But there are some movies that, you know, famous directors have been banned, especially if it was made in Hong Kong or something like that, or produced in Hong Kong. But with arts, I just think, like, modern art now is just, I mean, a lot of those new artists from China are pretty political. Yeah. So the state itself wants to hinder that, you know, even like, you're not even allowed to go on Facebook in China, you know, because they limit these rights. But I mean, I'm not sympathetic towards that, but I do understand why this country would do such a thing, is because it's like they want to become more of you know, they don't want to be a third world country anymore, so they want to make sure that everyone is working. working towards something more, working towards the economy or the betterment of China, instead of just like leisure and entertainment towards the arts and things like that. Because even that's prestige, even art as we see in the most of the world, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And rich people buy that stuff. It's not the poor people that buy that stuff. So they're trying to hinder that, at least the arts, I feel, because they don't want more division with the rich and the poor. Although, the government, there's still really rich people in the country. But it's I don't know, it's a balance thing. It's like really trying to balance out how do you maintain the spirits of the majority of the people, because if they all have psychological problems and take Adderall or drugs that most American youth take, then people are just like fucked up, and they have to, I don't know, go see a shrink, go see a psychologist, go to a doctor, and then it just wastes time. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is just like, there's nothing wrong with you, just work. And that's good and bad, but...
How do you feel, for example, will you think about going to China in the future, live there and work there?
Oh man, see that's something that my father always talks to me about, which is like, you're Chinese, you will be accepted by the Chinese. But it's strange because I'm American. I'm an American citizen now.
But you speak Chinese.
I do speak Mandarin.
Mandarin, yeah.
Fairly fluently, but I don't read.
Okay.
I've lived in this culture in America most of my life. I've been here since I was 3.
Yeah.
So I think I understand American culture better than I do Chinese culture. And I think that's more helpful to be in America because of that. Even if Americans have, discriminations against, whatever, race or status that I may be a part of, I would rather work within those limits than go to somewhere that I can be accepted as a person, as the same, and not have good works and be limited in what I actually do. Which is, if I were to write something about the Cultural Revolution or something, this is an example, I wouldn't do it, but if I were to, I would be limited because there's certain things you can say and there's certain things you can't say. And so that kind of...
So you will feel yourself like repressed, or you feel yourself like, no?
I feel repressed.
Yeah.
Although, you could probably make money and live well there.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I belong there.
Yeah. Huh?
Right. I'd love to be an actor. It's just like Tarantino, he wanted to be an actor. That's what he wanted to be, but he found that he's tall, he's ugly, like he's not going to get roles. That's the same thing with me. It's like you don't see too many Asian roles in the media. And when I'm speaking of the media, I mean like movies and things. Yeah. Because I think those studios don't feel like, the majority of the audience can sympathize with another race even. I think that's a little bit racist, but it's true. There's no main character that's Asian. Yeah. And it's simple as that. And so I feel like if I can't get those roles, if that really hinders my chances of having a career, I will want to write. I will be behind the lens. And that's easy, like you see Ang Lee and a bunch of other directors that are, from Hong Kong or wherever, make movies here, but they aren't being discriminated against because you're not seeing them. Yeah. And that itself is a little bit, it's kind of shitty. But I have to be very pragmatic about my position, which is, I want to learn the arts, I want to act, but I know that my chances will be slim. It is strange because there was a talk, a group of like theater students came to talk to Atlantic, and one of them was Asian from the Philippines and was talking about, all you Asian actors stay in it because they want Asian actors when they're 40. 40? I'm 23. What the fuck is that? I'm not going to be waiting that long. So the point of me writing and wanting to direct and making films is so that I can still make a career for myself. So you will say directing and writing is a way of survival? Yeah, I think so. I think it's... I don't No, I think it's easier too. Yeah. You just have to do your own work. I mean, the thing is that I do come from a very, upper middle class family, and then I do have the, proper, money to do what I want to do, and I don't think living in America, which is great, is that no one would take that away from me, because there's, the question of fairness, right? It's like, are you born into wealth or are you not born into wealth? But if you have the opportunity, use it, I think. And so just do it, Just do your own thing, because you don't know what's going to happen. You really just don't. And if you concentrate and, that's like a director's training, really, is to make his own movies, is to write his own stuff. That's your training, just like an actor who would just go to plays or just go to school. It's my own school. Just like Tarantino. I'm mentioning Tarantino a lot because it's like he's pretty inspirational to me. Because he worked at a fucking rental store. He watched all the fucking movies he wanted, shitty or good. It doesn't matter. But that was his training. That was his lesson learned.
Exactly.
This is the fair way to say it. Is that it's as broad as this is that anyone can act, anyone can write, and anyone can direct films. It's just, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And to me, how I understand humans is that why not do what you're good at? And I think that's where talent exposes itself.
Yeah.
Is because if you're good at, I don't know, wrangling horses, like you'd want to do that because you're good at it.
Exactly.
Why would you? I mean, people will. I don't know. In American culture, there's this thing that's like, I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
I want to do something I can't do. That could be good for your soul, but as a career, you want to choose what you are good at and what you can do. And I think for an actor or a director or a writer or anything, or painter or whatever, photographer, you have to want to do it because you see that you can do good. I mean, like Michael Jordan, for instance, is fucking brilliant in the basketball courts.
Yeah.
But then what he wanted to do with his life was to play baseball, and he did play baseball, and he sucked at it.
Yeah.
And he realized that, that's not really what I want to do, and that's not what makes me money. So that's the case, and that's where talent comes out, is that you have the passion for it. I think it's more about passion than willingness. Anyone can, not want to do it, but be willing to do it, though, I think. A person